Oh, there we are. Yes, hello. Numbers chapter 21. We just want to cover a couple of things that we didn't get to last week, and then we'll finish that up and move on. So let's have a word of prayer. We'll get started. Father God, we're so thankful this evening to be able to come into your house. We're especially thankful for your word and for the incredible way that Moses writes these events for us. I pray that as we look into your text and see this come before our eyes, that your Holy Spirit would speak to our hearts, speak to our minds, and reveal to us the lessons that you have for us to learn this evening as we delve into your word in Jesus' name. Amen. So we're going to start, we covered 21. They got into a situation as they're going across the land, and Arad, that's not his name, that was the place that he was the king of. He grabbed some of the stragglers, some of the weakest, some of the people that looked easiest to conquer from Israel, because there's 2 million of them, and captured them, held them for ransom. And the Israelites said, Lord, if you give our people back and give us a victory, we'll destroy everything and sacrifice it to you. And so God did. So they move on. You would think that after that kind of conversation with God and seeing what he could do, that they would be happy, that they would be positive, that they would think, yes, one more victory. But no, that's not what happened. They woke up off the wrong side of the bed next day and they start grumbling all over again. And they said, man, things couldn't get any worse. And they start complaining. They're talking about where they are. They're talking about what they've been through. They're talking about the food. They sound like kids in a school cafeteria. Man, we hate it. We hate it. And I wasn't like that. I loved school cafeterias. I loved the cooks. And the only thing that I could not ever eat in my school, they did something with macaroni and cheese that forever soured me on eating it. It was in a pool of something that was yellow, and over the top of it was a crust that was brown and really greasy. I would try to eat that and it just, no, it wouldn't go down. Wouldn't go down. And but other than that, I like cafeteria food, but these people hate this stuff. And so God says, you think you've got it bad, I've got news for you. Just when you think things can't get worse, guess what? So, Tim, if you would start with Numbers 21 and read verses 6 through 9.
Then the Lord set venomous snakes among them. They bit the people, and many Israelites died. The people came to Moses and said, we sinned when we spoke against the Lord and prayed against you. Pray that the Lord will take the snakes away from us. So Moses prayed for the people. The Lord said to Moses, make a snake and put it on a pole. Anyone who is bitten can look at it and live. So Moses made a bronze snake, put it on a pole, and when anyone was bitten by a snake, they looked at the bronze snake and they lived.
This Sunday, I'm just so excited about this sermon coming up. And it's about when the King of the Jews met the King of the universe. And there is in that an incredible historic lesson. God, who has orchestrated this, and I've told you before, everything that he has put physically in the Old Testament was for a spiritual reality of what's coming. Why did God make a model of a serpent? I mean, snakes are bad. Snakes are evil. It was a serpent that the Bible uses to portray Satan. So why would God make a model of a serpent to put on a pole?
Because it was serpents that were fighting the Israelites and killing them.
Yes. So the serpent was the problem. And by putting that on the pole, that revealed the problem. Yes, it does. And so why was Jesus on the cross? Because he was sinless. Yes. Just the same way that this serpent represented what was wrong, what was killing the people. Jesus, who took our sin on himself, was lifted up to demonstrate that what was killing us was crucified.
Isn't that the medical symbol today too?
I don't know if there's one or two serpents on the medical symbol. Is there two? Yeah, but you're close. I've always thought that. Yeah. But that's not why God did it. He didn't have that on there. Someday they're going to have a medical symbol like that, so I'm going to put this out here. Do you suppose there's any significance that he instructed Moses to set this pole out in the open?
Yeah, so that the people could see it.
Yeah. Why not hide it in the tabernacle?
Because that wouldn't cure them if they couldn't see it.
Absolutely. And that's right. They put it on a pole where everybody could see it. And I mean, let's be honest. Was there anything at all in a bronze thing on a pole that could heal you? Absolutely nothing. God is never, ever worried about us having a problem understanding him. He never says, I wonder if they're going to figure this out. I better keep it simple. He does things for his purpose. And this is one of them. I'm so excited. Now, if you had a family member that got bitten by the snake, could you look at that snake and save your family member? Well, that's not fair. Drag them over and make them look. Yeah. Don't be dragging me anyplace. So what does that tell us about Jesus? If you can't look for your family, what does that tell us about Jesus and salvation? Yeah, we cannot be saved for our family. And we could wish to. In fact, wasn't that what Paul said? Oh, how I wish that I could die for Israel. Sorry, Paul, Jesus has already done that. But he was so wanting to be punished so his people could be saved. And here, Moses is saying, God's saying through Moses, look, this is an individual, this is a personal thing. You got bit personally, and if you want to be saved, all you got to do is look. Just look.
So they had to take their eyes off their problem and look at the thing up instead of down.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then when you see a family member doing that, and he's getting bit in the eye, then maybe the example there.
Nice going. Yeah, nice going. And, okay, they go through this, verses 10 through 16, they go through this journey, and they come on to the Amorites, and Moses, he sings a song. And I don't know what kind of a singer he was, but he sings a song. And I think I read that it is it wasn't my faith looks up to thee. Oh, that would be a good song. He sings a song. It's a war song that the Amorites sang, and I think that he was gooning them, but I'm not positive. But let's pick it up in verse 21. Are you ready, Jennifer? Okay, read 21 through 27, please.
Israel sent messengers to say to Shiloh, or Shalom, king of the
Amorites.
Amorites, let us pass through the country. We will not turn aside into any field or vineyard, or drink water from any well. We will travel along the King Highway until we have passed through your territory. But Shihun would not let Israel pass through the territory. He marshaled his entire army and marched out into the wilderness against Israel. When he reached Jahaz and fought with Israel, however, put him to the sword and took over his land from the Arnon and the Jabuk, but only as far as Imarides.
You're doing good.
Because the border was fulfilled, Israel captured all the cities of the Amorites and occupied them, including Heshbon and all its surrounding settlements. Heshbon and the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and had taken from him all the land as far as the Anar.
Okay, that's good. That's good. we'll leave that poem forever. So the king of Sihon had already conquered the Moabites, and so they were in this land. And Moses comes up to the border, and he sends a messenger to Sihon, and he says, "Can I pass through your land? We're on our way. If we drink anything, eat anything, we'll pay for it. We just want passage." And who else did he ask about that? This isn't the first time Moses has asked that question. Yes. It starts with an A. Adam, the Edomites were Ammon. Yeah, the Ammonites. And what did Esau's son say? No way. Now, God didn't kill them. He's waiting. But these Amorites, when they come out, God says, "You're toast." So he conquers them, and then let's drop down to verses 33 through 35. Would you read that, Renee?
Then they turned and went up along the road to Bashan, and Og, king of Bashan, and his whole army marched out to meet them in battle at Edrei. The Lord said to Moses, "Do not be afraid of him, for I have handed him over to you with his whole army and his land. Do to him what you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon." So they struck him down together with his sons and his whole army, leaving them no survivors, and they took possession of his land.
David, would you put that map up? Oh, look at this. So here we are. This is, let me get my map so I can see it. Yeah, over here. No, we're over here. Yeah, we've got Moab, and this is Arnon right here. Here's Aurora, and they keep going up. Now the Amorites are here, and this is Heshbon right here, and Bashan is up in this area. So this is how far up they've gone, and they're going to turn and come back because they're just traveling up to conquer this land. Now, that's not the promised land, but why does God want them to conquer all of this land? Yeah, not only were the people bad, but they would be potential enemies. When God sends them into the promised land to conquer that, they don't want these nations ganging up, having a superpower. So they're taking them out first. And that's when we get to chapter 22. So, thanks, this is great. Huh? What?
I told him we're going to have to order a couple more.
Now, this is an absolutely amazing piece. This is the third time in their journey that they've stayed any place for long. They've gone up here, and now they've come back into Moab. And they're right about in this area right here, back down where Heshbon is. The first time they stopped at Sinai, they were there about a year. The second time they stopped at Kadesh, and that was when they were going to cross over the Jordan. And the tribe, the spies had a negative report. So this is the third time that they spend any time at all, and they're in the plains of Moab. Now, we've got this guy that's coming on the scene, and the Moabites, even though it says Moab here, the Moabites are up here because they're camped. They can see the Dead Sea from where they're camped, but they can also see Jericho. And they're hanging out right here. And the king of Moab, his name is Balak, and he's real nervous. In fact, because of what Renee read in Numbers 21, turn over to Joshua chapter 'll get you to it. Turn to Joshua chapter 2, I think it is. Yeah. Joshua chapter 2. And Renee, would you read verse 10?
We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed.
Yes. So we're talking about how many years of history? 40 years. They've heard these stories for 40 years. And this group just keeps wandering around out here. 2 million of them, and they just move slow because they've got kids, they've got animals, and they've got this cloud that's not moving very fast. They just keep hanging out. And they are terrifying to the inhabitants of Moab because every time they come against a foreign power, they destroy them. So he decides that his army needs a little bit of help. He's got to have a couple of ringers, and he's thinking, I know a guy. He's quite a ways away. Put that map up there, David. The guy's up here, Mesopotamia. And Mesopotamia just happens to be where Abraham was from. So this soothsayer, this prophet, this sorcerer is up here in Mesopotamia, and Balak's way down here. It's about 325, 350 miles away. It's going to take them between 20 and 25 days to get there. I'm thinking Greyhound, I think. They got to make those stops at all those little towns. It takes forever. And they're going to bring in some supernatural help because outside of Scripture, Balaam's name occurs in history. He's all over the place, especially in Mesopotamia. They have got scrolls, they've got these obelisks, they've got these steles where they have, they're like columns and there's writing on it. Balaam's mentioned all over the place. well known. And he's only got one name. Just like LeBron. Just like Prince. Just only needs one name and you know who you're talking about. You don't have to say Balaam and his donkey. That's Sunday school that does that. You know, the world just called him Balaam. And sometimes we get the idea that Balaam must be a nice guy because doesn't he say all these wonderful things about Israel? First of all, go to chapter 22 and look at verses 23, 25, and 27. And tell me how many times his donkey said, or how many times his donkey tried to avoid the angel of death. Every time. How many times is that? Verses 23, 25, and 27. 3 times. Very good. 3 times, yeah. Just stick with me on this. Now go to chapter 23 and look at verse 1, verse 14, and verse 29. How many sets of sacrifices? 3. Go back to chapter 22 in verses 12 and 20, and then 22 through the end of that chapter, till verse 35. Balaam has 3 encounters with God. So 3 becomes a very important number in this. And one last thing before we get to the passage. People have mixed reactions about Balaam, and part of it is because he says such amazing things. In fact, there's a huge debate whether or not Balaam is predicting the Messiah. We know for sure that he is predicting the reign of David. But he's not a good boy. He's not a good person. Go over to Deuteronomy chapter 23. Deuteronomy chapter 23. Keep your finger in Numbers 22. We'll be back there. But go to Deuteronomy 23. And Chuck, would you read verse 4?
Because they did not meet you with food and water on the way when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam the son of Beor from Pethor from Mesopotamia to curse you.
Okay, and then go over to Joshua chapter 13. And verse 22.
The sons of Israel also killed Balaam the son of Beor, the diviner, with the sword among the rest of the slain.
So, besides being a sorcerer, he was also a what? He was a prophet, but he practiced an art that God said, yes, he practiced divination. He claimed he could speak with the dead. That's impossible, but he claimed that he could do it, and Uh, Satan made it seem like he did. So two things there, practice divination and he was responsible for killing Israelites. And then once more back to Joshua chapter 24. I'm still with you, Chuck. And verse 9.
Then Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, arose and fought against Israel. And he sent and summoned Balaam the son of Beor to curse you.
Yes, Moses is kind of, or Joshua's rehearsing this. So go to 2 Peter chapter 2. And verse 15.
Forsaking the right way, they had gone astray, having followed the way of Balaam the son of Beor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness.
And finally, Revelation chapter 2 and verse 14.
But I have a few things against you, because you have there some who hold the teaching of Balaam, who kept teaching Balak to put a stumbling block before the sons of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit acts of immorality.
Yes. So, in the end, Balaam was not a good man. And we're gonna see this, how it goes. So let's start here. You got your reading glasses on, Brian, or are those your good-looking glasses? Do both jobs? Would you read the first 6 verses of chapter 22?
Then the people of Israel set out and camped in the plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan at Jericho. And Balak the son of Zippor saw all that the Israelites had done to the Amorites, and Moab was in great dread of the people, because they were many. Moab was overcome with fear of the people of Israel, and Moab said to the elders of Midian, "This horde will now lick up all that is around us, as the ox licks up the grass of the field." So Balak the son of Zippor, who was king of Moab at that time, sent messengers to Balaam the son of Beor at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the people of Ammon, to call him, saying, "Behold, the people has come out of Egypt, and they cover the face of the earth. They are dwelling opposite me. Come now and curse this people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them from the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you cursed is cursed."
Yes. Balaam had a reputation that anyone he blessed was blessed, and anyone he cursed was cursed. There was someone else that had that reputation, but it was different, but those same words were used. You know who I'm thinking of? Whoever blesses you will be blessed. Whoever curses you will be cursed. And who said it to who? Nope, book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 12. Abraham, God said that about Abraham. You will be a blessing. And everyone who blesses you will be blessed. And everyone who curses you will be cursed. that is coming right up against this man who has a reputation that anybody he blesses is blessed, and anybody he curses is cursed. Now there's a problem. God said to Abraham and his descendants, anyone who curses you will be cursed. Balaam says, leave it to me. I curse Abraham's descendants, they will be cursed. Well, that's not what God said. God said, listen, donkey man, you curse my people, they're not going to be cursed, but you are. Whoa, right here, we're going to see a confrontation. Who's got more power? Balaam or God? Balak, he thinks that Balaam has got the power. That's why he's ready to pay him the big bucks. So, we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. Oh, this is great because what we're going to learn in these next couple of chapters is that when you are a part of the family of God, nothing can separate you from the love of God. Now, I did not say that nothing bad can happen to you. I didn't say that. We see throughout the New Testament, after Jesus' ascension, that those who followed Jesus had bad things happen to them. All 11 of the apostles, well, with the exception of John, I'll say all 10 of the 11 apostles died a horrendous death. And they were the starters of the church. Peter was God's man, given the keys to preach the first two gospel messages, first to the Jews and then to the Gentiles, and he was crucified, tradition tells us, upside down. What's all this about? If you're following God, you're going to be protected. What about Stephen, who was stoned? James, who was beheaded? Paul, shipwrecked, stoned, left for dead. Why? Because he kept preaching. Don't get the idea that if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, he's going to put you in a little bubble and nothing bad's going to happen. What he's promised us is, if we're a child of God, nothing can separate us from God. Because if we die for our faith, we go to heaven. That's what happens. So, God is sovereign over the nations. He's going to show us. So let's pick up. Marilee, would you read verses 7 through 14, please?
And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards of divination in their hand, and they came unto Balaam and spake unto him the words of Balak. And he said unto them, Lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. And God came unto Balaam and said, What men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me, saying, Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth. Come now, curse me them. Peradventure I shall be able to overcome them and drive them out. And God said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose up in the morning and said unto the princes of Balak, Get you into your land, for the Lord refuses to give me leave to go with you. And the princes of Moab rose up, and they went unto Balak and said, Balaam refuses to come with us.
Now, of course, we read here that Balak's dad was the first tailor in the Bible. Did you catch that? Son of Zipper. just a little pastoral humor. Son of Zipper. Yeah, I love that. So, here we go. They show up at, they go all the way up to Mesopotamia. And he's near the river at Pethor, which is real close to Mesopotamia there. The river's probably the Euphrates. And he said, we've got a problem. We've got these people. We don't know who they are. We know where they came from. They came from Egypt. I don't know why they didn't stay there. But they came from Egypt, and they have just been a blight. Everywhere they go, they just eat all of the food, and they leave no survivors behind. And they're on their way to our town. So, we've got a little money here for you, and we know that you've got all kinds of power. You notice how they're just really softening him up in verse 6. They're saying all those flowery things, just kissing up to him and saying, we know whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed. So we want you to come down. How far did you read, Mary Lee? Oh, I only want you to read through 7, so nice. Go ahead.
Near Moab.
Right.
Across from Jericho, right? Yeah. And
Works better as maps there.
and they are, and the place where they're talking to get the guy to curse is way, yeah, like, would you say like 25, 30 days away?
20 to 25 days away. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a real strategic move.
Well,
You need something in a hurry, 25 days away.
well, the problem with haste, they can't just get somebody in a hurry because they're just lollygagging around because they're waiting. They've got this thing that sits above their camp. It's white and fluffy. And it's not moving. So they're not moving. God is in control of this whole situation. God's not in a hurry. You don't move without the cloud. They're used to it. So they're just waiting. They go out and they look at the cloud, it's still there. So they're just waiting. Great question. And that's why they're still there. Now, I want you to see this in verse 8. After they ask him the question, how does he respond? Spend the night in what? That is what is so curious, because thank you. Here he is up here. Egypt is way down here. That's where they came from. They've been there 400 plus years. 40 years they've been going this way. Now they're here. This guy up here, he knows more than you think, because he, in verse 8, refers, you know who he said he's going to talk to? Jehovah. He uses the Hebrew name for God. He uses the Hebrews' God's name. I'm going to go talk to Jehovah. What? Yeah, we're going to have a conversation. Go into my prayer closet, and I'm going to meet Adonai, Jehovah God. And? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Because he's going to use this guy to show his sovereignty. He's taking one of the most, I'm telling you, history outside the Bible has Balaam's name written all over the Middle East. Even today, we can find relics with his name on it. He was famous. Famous. They thought he had the most power in the world. If you've ever seen those movies that talk about empire builders and conquerors, you know, and they've got a psychic or a mystic, a woman that deals in the arts, and she always is able to talk about how to get victories, and the guys are undefeated. That Hollywood stuff is right here. This is the guy. He can do this. And that's why they've sent for him. And he says, just spend the night, I'm going to go talk to Jehovah. And I can't answer that question, Brian. It makes no sense. But he's talking to Jehovah. And not only is he talking to Jehovah, Jehovah's talking to him. And he says, and what does Jehovah ask him? Who are these guys? Wait a minute, doesn't God know who these guys are? Yeah. But when God asks Balaam, who are those guys, is it because God doesn't know? Yes. And I don't know about your parents. My parents would ask me that question sometimes. And I thought to myself, you know who I'm going out with. You ever had that question? Do you know who you're hanging with? Do you know who your friends are? Do you know what you get where I'm going with that? Yeah. My folks were trying to get this dense farm kid to think, who am I going out with? Oh, and being the knucklehead that I was, I'd tell them. I said, well, yeah, I'm going out with so-and-so. Oh, man, make my mom so mad. So God says, do you know who those guys are? And he said, yeah. Yeah, they came from way down there, and they want me to curse these people. And maybe I can, help them out here. And look at verse 12. What did Jehovah say? He said, no. Balaam says, can I go? No. Huh? Yeah. Don't go with him. So he gets up in the morning and he says, I really would like to. But I talked to Jehovah and he said no. This is just hilarious. I talked to Jehovah and he said no. I just love that. There's such an exchange here. We've got this bad person, and for all that you talk about him being a prophet and a seer, his donkey could see more than he could. Remember, we're on the path. Yeah. So much for you, Balaam. You can't even see a great big angel with a sword stand in front of you. That's a good thing you had your donkey. So he says, I can't go. God said I can't. So just go home. And what did these guys who traveled 325 miles do? They went home. That's why they're the messengers, not the leader. They travel 25 days, they go. The guy says, I'm not going. And so they go back. This is why you guys are traveling 25 miles or 25 days. Crazy. Now, that's not the end. Let's go here and read 15 through 20. You're up, Becky.
More numerous and more distinguished than the first. They came to Balaam and said, this is what Balak, son of Zippor, says. Do not let anything keep you from coming to me, because I will reward you handsomely and do whatever you say. Come and put a curse on these people for me. But Balaam answered them, even if Balak gave me his palace filled with silver and gold, I could not do anything great or small to go beyond the command of the Lord my God. Now stay here tonight. So the others did, and I will find out what else the Lord will tell me. That night, God came to Balaam and said, since these people have come to summon you, go with them, but do not, but not only what I tell you, and do not only what I tell you, and do only what I tell you.
Yes.
Okay.
And do only what I tell you.
Yes.
Balak's thinking, well, look at who I sent. It's no wonder he's not coming. I'm going to send someone smarter, that looks smarter, that acts smarter, and has more money. That's the thing. I sent the wrong guys. I sent Laurel and Hardy. I should have sent somebody, that looked like they knew what they were doing. And so he sends them there. Abbott and Costello. Now, I got to tell you, verse 19, there are some things you don't have to pray about. Did you know that? There are some things you don't have to pray about. Someone comes up, they open their jacket and they take out a pouch that's got pills in it. can you just hold on to those? I got to pray about this. No, you don't have to pray about that. If someone says, things are tight, I know you could use some money, I've got this idea, we can hit this bank right here, it's a piece of cake. Can I pray about that? No, there's some things you don't have to pray about. Balaam did not have to pray about this. He already did. Same scenario, bigger money, same scenario. But we do the same thing. We do the same thing. He's given us a command, and our hearts really, really want to do it. Absolutely. Why on earth did God say yes? Well, I'll tell you. Turn over to Romans chapter 1. Joe, would you read verses 21 through 23?
Who did you ask?
Joe.
Oh, yeah. For all while they knew God, they neither glorified him as God or gave thanks to him. But their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools. And exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like immortal men and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurities for the degrading of their bodies and with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshipped and served greater things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lust. Even their women exchanged their natural relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed indecent acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their preservation. Therefore, furthermore, since they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, He gave them over to a depraved mind to do what ought to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, ignorant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They subversive their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do not do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these things, but also prove of those who practice them.
Thank you. When Balaam came back the second time, he's talking to Jehovah, and he doesn't even know it. He's talking to the God of the universe, And he thinks he's talking to some stupid idol in his house. Now, he uses the name Jehovah, which is just a fascinating fact. Why he would. We got to go. 8 o'clock. That's it. We're done. I know it. Tune in next week when we'll see why. No, I'm giving it back to its owner. Thank you so much.